saka musarohwe nehana, hakuna kutengesa kunoitika. Uyezve ukada kutengesa uri kuparamendi, constitution yakabva yati vatengesi kana vasadiwe nepati yavo dzorai mubvise muparamendi. Unoona tsamba yanyorwa naSG ngana hasisiri nhengo yedu yeZANU-PF, watobuda muparamendi kuratidza kuti unoteedzera gwara remusangano. Kuparamendi, your excellency, kune vanga vakunyepera vanhu kuti kuparamendi kunotengwa vanhu, kukanzi ndokwakunovhotwa vanhu vanotengwa. Kuparamendi system yedu yemuno muZimbabwe iparty parliamentary system. Mukatarisa muconstitution makatonyorwa kunzi mune mawhip, machief whip. Whip ishamu inorehwa nashefu yaine munyu. Saka munhu uya anonzi togarepi basa rake nderekutaura kuti direction yeparty ndeiyi, ndo yatinoenda. Saka patinoenda muparliament paya pazvikanzi naClerk, nominations are now open, can you nominate? Hatisumudze maoko tese, takarongeka. Uya watataura muno ndiye anosumudza ari 1. Onzi sekenda, umwe sekenda, vamwe tete takangopeta maoko takagara. Kana the other side ikange isina kunominata, takutopururudza. SG vatova kutonzi speaker of parliament, do vote yabva kuvanhu through the party, so the party then becomes supreme. Saka ndo system yatakuenda kuchinoita manje.
Your reflection in terms of the struggle that really has gone at a time when the journey is still continuing, but also there seems to be a back and forth. How do you want him to be remembered in terms of that?
Well, I mean, the struggle, yes, that is why it's a struggle. It has ups and downs, it has betrayals, it has setbacks, but doesn't mean that it's not going to be won. Challenges will come, but challenges are a confirmation of the victories that are ahead. We may be going through hardships, but these hardships are preparing us for leadership and headship, and we should not despair. He has passed on to us a legacy of hope, a legacy of faith, a legacy of determination and persistence, a legacy of being focused and not being shaken. And that is what we're going to pass on to everyone around us. You know, courage, determination, boldness is actually contagious. And that is the contagion effect that we want to have across the whole country.
Do you foresee that vision being realized?
It's very close.
Especially the current status quo.
It's very close. I know many people are looking hopeless and helpless and helpless. But I can tell you that it's always darkest before dawn. Even those who may actually pretend that they're invincible and indomitable, they pretend so because they know that their days are numbered. And that's why you see their anger, their rancor, even the tyranny seems to increase. It's always like this when it is about to be a breakthrough. There is victory. There is light at the end of the tunnel. I can tell you that. There's panic all over. Nobody would extend a term of office if they are confident. Nobody would avoid elections if they are voted for. Only people who are so scared of the people are phobic of the people and phobic of the elections and phobic of the mandates from the people. That's why I always emphasize mandates. Even in the Bible, you can't govern without a mandate. The mandate is from above. The mandate is from below. That mandate must be respected. And there's going to be change in Zimbabwe. Thank you.
What are your responsibilities? Ask yourself, first and foremost, are you disciplined? Kubva pamba paunogara navabereki, kuenda pavillage pako, paward pako, padistrict pako, muprovince mako, munyika yekwako, are you disciplined? You must develop a culture of service. That is, don't expect to be serviced, but service. As Musaja misuse the word service. Patriotism and innovation among the young people across the country is pleasing. I'm happy as a president. I see patriotism among our younger generation. I urge you all, no matter the sector or field of your endeavors, to keep marching forward as we advance our national development agenda. We are aware of the ever-evolving global environment and associated shocks. These have the threat of destabilizing economies worldwide. But as Zimbabwe, we have a deep-seated philosophy. As the young people of this great country, Zimbabwe, yours now is a generation which must be defined by contribution and impactful results. The communities demand results that are visible. Our generation, my generation, when we were young, we fought for independence. Vazhinji vedu tikaendeswa kumajere for many years, 10 years. Vamwe vedu were hanged. Oh, I survived because I was underage, but my colleagues were hanged. Koimwe.
Are you looking to start or grow your business in South Africa as a foreign national? Education, research and development consultancy makes it simple and stress-free. From company registration with CIPC to opening your business account, filing your taxes with SARS and handling your annual returns, they got you covered. Local or international, ERDC handles everything so you can focus on what matters most, growing your business. Ready to get started? Contact or WhatsApp the admin at 0027 73 302 1868. 0027 73 302 1868. You can also email the admin at owen.erdc@gmail.com. owen.erdc@gmail.com.
My guest has spent many years living in the diaspora, both in the United Kingdom and in South Africa. Now, those are the two countries that have become home to millions of Zimbabweans who left in search of opportunities and a better future. Now, like many Zimbabweans abroad, he has remained closely connected to home, maintaining strong ties with family, friends, and communities back in Zimbabwe. But beyond that, simply staying connected, he has gone a step further by creating platforms that celebrate Zimbabwean excellence across the globe. He is the founder and organizer of the prestigious Zim Achievers Awards. Now, this initiative that honors outstanding Zimbabweans in the diaspora, as well as those that are back home who are excelling in various fields of endeavor. Through this work, he has helped shine a spotlight on Zimbabwean talent and Zimbabwean excellence, achievement worldwide. He's also a good friend of mine, Conrad Mwanza. Chitambire,
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on this platform. I mean, we have many discussions, but being able to actually catch you, you're always up and down, our jet setter, but to have a moment to speak with you on matters of importance, as we always do, is really precious. So thank you for your time.
No, thank you. I like to tell people that I'm a global citizen, and you know, especially with the continent, we should open up the borders a little bit more. But you know, I encourage more. I guess on my next chapter, I'll encourage more Africans to travel. Yeah, especially maybe in South Africa. I'm currently in South Africa, but on my way to the UK, etc. So yeah, I like to encourage more people to travel. I'm a global citizen. Yeah,
but an African and Zimbabwean at heart. How does it feel every time you come back home? What is that feeling like? You know, I always speak to a lot of people in the diaspora, and they're like, There's nothing like home. There's no place like home.
Yes.
Is it ever new for you when you come back home?
No, it's actually true. There is no place like home. Having spent many, many years in the UK and traveled between UK, Zim and SA, there's no place like home. It's actually very true. The fresh air, everything is different. I mean, South Africa is also close to home in a way.
Yes.
But, once I land on the continent, and it's something that maybe going to discuss here as well. When I land in Nigeria, I also want to claim that Nigeria is at home. I've had many incidents there in the airport, and I've had to call the authorities to come because I'm saying this, I'm at home here. So same as if I'm in Ghana. So I think there's a lot of mind shift that we need to do in terms of what does define to be Zimbabwean, to be African,
especially
as a whole.
In the current political climate when it comes to immigration, anti-immigration, not only in Africa, as far as the United States. We've seen what's happening with Donald Trump and how he's intensifying those efforts to make sure that America is for Americans. We see what's happening in South Africa with Zimbabweans, Nigeria, and one wonders, why can't we all just get along?
Yes, true. But I don't blame Trump and all these people, right, as well. But I wonder if to take you closer to home, and I don't know if you've known, I've authored a book called The Zimbabwean Dream.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of people always think the grass is greener on the other side, and I'm in a journey to prove that not necessarily so. Zimbabwe, I argue that Zimbabwe is better than the US by far. And if you have traveled, then you would probably appreciate where I'm coming from, because Zimbabwe, you've got the best climate, you've got one of the most peace-loving nation in the world, you have the solutions-driven people. If there is no water, Zimbabwean will come up and will find a solution, and they'll start doing machocho tanks. If there's no electricity, so it's a solutions-driven country, very peaceful, no matters that you see. So if you compare that with Chicago in America, we're talking a different conversation. So we probably don't know what we have. We always think something.
Yes. I mean, you're pushing it a bit to say no matters, but I understand what you mean. Chando, it's getting warmer now. You've come, Kuchando. It's getting really cold in Africa, but all the same, welcome back home. What conversations are you hearing when it comes to what is happening in Zimbabwe, particularly with the amendment of the constitutional bill, the possibility that there will be a presidential term limit that's extended from 5 to 7 years? And I ask you this because the diaspora voice is very loud. Others ask to say, what right do you have to speak for Zimbabweans who are mainly affected, who are back home? When you have conversations with fellow people in the diaspora, what are you hearing? What kind of conversations are you having?
It's a very, very good question, Audrey. But I'll tell you something that probably will shock even the diasporans. Zimbabwe has a perception issue, and this also comes from the diasporans themselves. What I mean by that, if you are on the ground, the situation is not the same as when you hear it when you're in the UK. So if you're in the UK, you're probably things are upside down literally in Zimbabwe, but they are not. And that country is moving in the right direction. And I have to give the current government, I have to give President Mnangagwa props, because development-wise, we're seeing a lot. I mean, coming in and out in the last, from 2017, I'm seeing a lot. Some things could be small to other people, and when I'm on the ground, I notice that the people don't see the changes. Give you simple examples. We could swipe or Visa cards now, something that we couldn't do. You could withdraw money on the ATM, something that you couldn't do. There's InDrive, there's restaurants, so all these things that we see if you go out of the country and you come back are things that maybe people in Zim don't see. But what I'm trying to say to you is there is a shift, which is, for me, is positive towards the right direction.
Okay, so as far as you're concerned, this proposed amendment to the bill is a positive step. You do not think it's an overreach of power?
No, I mean, look, I'm because remember sometimes the Constitution is there to be amended sometimes, and it might not, because people always look at it as a current situation. It might benefit the next generation or the next leader, so there's quite a lot. I think the debate has to be held. I think it has to be given a fair run, and if as long as everything is above the law, I think it's a positive amendment. It could be, because why? I think 5 years, some people argue that 5 years is not enough to actually make an effective change if you're talking developmental. Some people might argue that elections are very polarized, so let's give yourself a good 7 years, so we're not not on campaign mode. We're not, because you spend most of your term in campaign mode. So, and also we need to define how democracy is, because the democracy for US might not be democracy for Zim, and democracy for Rwanda might not be the same. So it's a debate that needs to be made, and if the powers that be think it's a good idea to do it, as long as it's done in a fair and legal way. Yeah.
Yes, I'll tell you conversations that I've had with either colleagues or family members saying Zimbabwe has been marred by political violence. Some electoral cycles more violent than others. Some are rather curious to see if perhaps this extension will give people time to resolve whatever issues might be happening within our electoral cycle in terms of not being as polarized as we are. Of course, those are not my views, but I'm just throwing in an argument there that others seem to be pushing.
No, and polarization has been a big issue in Zimbabwe. And again, coming back to my book, which you have to read. Did
you bring a copy?
I didn't. It's sold out. But we should have. But we'll do it.
Sold out.
It's sold out. It's good.
Yes.
I talk about a new kind of politics in Zim, a politics that's tolerant. That is because if you are a couple in Zim, it should be okay for one to support ZANU-PF and the other one to support CCC. I think it's okay, and the kids, just like football, we shouldn't polarize politics. So Zim is coming from that polarization. But, we see that in the last few years, there has been relative peace because it's not election season. So there's been relative peace. And for me, long may that continue.
Yeah. Are you seeing any protests when you're overseas, whichever country you would have gone to? I mean, we see it on television in the United Kingdom, especially for some reason, where some groups are protesting against it, others are advocating for the amendment.
Yeah.
When you are on the ground, when you see this happening, what mood are you feeding off of that?
No, I like democracy and people have the right to protest. But I think, again, if you remember in the beginning, I said there is a perception issue with Zimbabwe. A person in the diaspora, sometimes I would call them keyboard warriors, saying one thing and the opposite is happening on the ground. And unfortunately, especially with ZANU-PF, they've been unlucky in the fact that anything they do, whether, where polarization comes in, when there's a good or bad thing, some people are just going to dwell on one thing.
Why do you think that is?
It's just, I think this is the problem with the perception that I'm talking about. Because
but who creates the perception?
It's probably distance. Like I keep saying to you, we're in South Africa now. An ordinary South African thinks Zimbabwe is a damn site, literally.
So what I'm hearing from you is that perhaps there's an indictment on the information that is disseminated by either government officials in terms of brand Zimbabwe, so to speak, how it's picked up either by Zimbabweans in the diaspora or by the international community.
Correct.
Because some say brand Zimbabwe is damaged at the moment.
That's exactly. So what the unfortunate thing with happened with ZANU-PF and with Zimbabwe in this instance is, you're right, brand Zimbabwe in itself doesn't come out right. And the positive work that has been done by ZANU-PF, by the government, is not really related, or is not really transferred properly to the rest of the world, including South Africans, because I speak of South Africa because I know that ordinary South African thinks it's a damn site. Diasporans in the UK thinks there's no development that's happening. But guess what? Zimbabweans is turning around. We've got so many people, even on the informal mining sector, we've got so many people who are making a lot of money. We've got a lot of people on commercial farmers, tobacco farmers, commercial farmers. So there is a positive, there's a lot of people who you say, can you come to South Africa? They don't want when they're in Zimbabwe because things are moving for them. So I don't know, when you're last in Zimbabwe, you'll see cars, there's traffic on the road because people are using US dollars, they're fueling up. You look at the shops, people in retail sector are doing quite well because the makorokozas that you guys think about, which we call them, what are they called in South Africa? The Zamazamas are allowed to do in Zimbabwe and they're making money. And so what I tell the diaspora, if they could listen to me and say that, or if I'm appealing that listen to me, is that in Zimbabwe, there's no ceiling. You could wake up tomorrow and be a millionaire, literally.
Why haven't you moved permanently back home?
I'm actually, look, like I said to you earlier on, I'm a global citizen because I run a media company. I'm spending more time in South Africa and Zimbabwe. I'm in Zim more and a bit of SA, but I'm a global citizen. So I don't want to be defined by being in one place. But whether I'm in Zimbabwe or not, the country is definitely going in the right direction.
Yeah. If this amendment were to pass, what do you think it means for Zimbabwe's democracy, for people that are that want to come back home. Do you think it's encouraging?
Yeah, no, it is. Look, I think what we should. Okay, I always talk about, again, on my book, a half full glass, a half empty glass, right?
Depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, so we're
Perception,
looking at
again.
it more. So our diasporans don't look at the half full; they look at the half empty all the time. There's a lot of positives that is happening in Zimbabwe, and I think it's time to come and see for yourself. That's what I would encourage the diasporans to do. Come and see Zimbabwe for yourself.
But they're responsible for a lot of that development through the remittances that we see that has run into billions of US dollars annually now.
And they are appreciated very much so, and they contribute. But you see, part of, and again, working with IOM and Zim Achievers, we're looking at how we can tap into the remittances, right? But these are consumable remittances. We want impact investment into that. So as you can see, and again here, maybe I might just be digressing a bit, the Chinese are coming in, they are making money, and us as the diasporans, and I'm including myself on it, we will be complaining from afar, saying things are not moving. And recently when I was in Bulawayo, I had President Boko in Botswana saying, don't wait for government to give you solutions. You come and give the solutions. And the country is literally ours, and the country is literally ours to build. The country, and this is where people should be adamant. The country does not belong to E.D. Mnangagwa or ZANU-PF. It's literally your country and mine. So if we don't contribute to it, we can't blame anyone.
What would you say is the best way for Zimbabweans that are living abroad to be stakeholders when it comes to constitutional lawmaking back home? What is the most effective way for them to do that? Because when we look at the public hearings, when they happen, they don't come out of the Zimbabwean borders. It's just Zimbabweans that can participate in that. Effectively.
I mean, look, I think democracy is a journey. I think sometimes, and I know we have spoken about the diaspora vote, and sometimes people misunderstand me and saying you don't necessarily need to go and fly all the way or go and vote in Zim. It don't make a difference. I think vote with your resources. If it's a party that you support, fund it, so that, because for people to win elections, they need money, if it's about that. And for me, I would also encourage, which I call the Jewish effect again, be effective where you are. So if you're in the UK, in the Zimbabweans, lobby the UK government to be able, maybe just like how the Jews do it. Yeah. So I feel as the diasporans, we need to be a bit more organized, more pragmatic in terms of our approach. But again, we shouldn't look at it from a half-empty glass all the time. There are positive things that are happening. And remember, I'm also not here saying there's positive things only that's happening. There is bad things that are happening in Zimbabwe. And those are the things that we should be addressing as we go along. But let's not look at it from one side only.
Yeah, I want to talk about some of the proposals that have been made.
Yeah.
I'll just read something quickly here from my phone. It has something to do with chiefs.
Yeah.
The amendments include removing a non-partisan requirement for chiefs. Do you think chiefs should participate in politics at all?
No, they shouldn't.
I know it's not a direct impact on diasporans, but we can talk about it.
No, they shouldn't. I think they shouldn't be political. In my own opinion, they shouldn't be political. They should serve Zimbabweans. So whether you are from the opposition or not, which I think in the last many years, chiefs unfortunately have been politicized in that aspect. So, but we need a new kind of politics. We shouldn't really matter, because I think sometimes, and this is where, if we're to be critical of the ruling parties, the opportunities are only available for the ruling party and for the opposition. But also, again, from the opposition side, be also, rather than finger pointing politics, be a solutions driven politics. So it's both parties to blame. But I feel like because of the journey that we've gone through, we are enjoying relative peace, and the people are peaceful. Some people might call it maybe people are oppressed. But however, at this moment, I think in Zimbabwe there is relative peace at this moment.
Yeah, well, the opposition figures and some civic society groups would argue that that's different when it comes to their experiences. But I must amend you, Conrad, for your part. I mean, when we talk about Brand Zimbabwe, you have really gone out of your way, consistently so, in ensuring that people, the international community knows that there's excellence that comes from Zimbabwe on merit at that. And I think the goal and the fight is to continue doing that, to ensure that, people understand exactly what is happening in Zimbabwe. But some would argue that the government is not doing the best job of that as well. I mean, we recently had President Cyril Ramaphosa going to Zimbabwe on a weekend visit that was reported to have been private, and then it was said it was a state visit. He was said to be in the company of people that are said to be wanted in the South African territory. I'll just say it's not a secret. So when we speak about Brand Zimbabwe, and then we see a head of state and government with the likes of people that are perceived and some say known to be those kind of people, it frustrates the millions of Zimbabweans that are really trying to turn this around. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one. I mean, look, this is the thing about being a PR person myself, is the perception is everything. You know, when people look at you, what you portray to the world is what they would, you know. So there could be ways to do the same thing. So for personally, I would have said just keep everything private. If there are any pictures, make it be the president and the president of South Africa, without maybe having the private sector, because then people will run with the perception. You know, that's why we call it in PR, we call it perception by design. So you designed a certain perception that you then brought out to us, and then the millions of people then would get it. So you've designed your own perception. But it could have been easily that the president would have come and you could have managed the way the pictures are portrayed, and those meetings could have been held privately, and you have designed your perception again. So I think maybe we still don't understand how PR as a country works and how branding as a country works, because those are the things that will frustrate people. But it could be nothing. I'm saying it could be nothing. It could be that they were there, they were invited, and nothing out of it. But the way you've perceived it as a government, that's how it comes out, and people will run with that.
Yes.
So it's good to manage and design the perception that you want.
Yeah.
It's very, very,
The diaspora vote.
Yeah.
Do you think it will happen?
I think so. I think it will happen. I think, again, having dealt with government for many years, having dealt with diaspora for many years, I think the government also had a perception on the diaspora. They obviously thought everyone who's in the diaspora is opposition, which is definitely not, because we've seen it with the ZAAs, people who come, the ambassadors come, people are engaging, people are patriotic. I think the government is literally missing the point. Everybody is actually patriotic. And for me, I would also encourage opposing voices, because as I say to you, the opposition should not be about finger pointing, should be about solutions driven.
Yes.
I want us to sit down and argue from different opinions, but then have a drink afterwards.
Do you know, there's something about what you've just said which has resonated with me to say, no matter which side of the line you are, you know, politically, there's something about patriotism that resides in you.
Yes.
You know, the pride that I see Zimbabweans having every time they go home, post pictures to say, you know, this is what we were doing, regardless of the issues that they have. That patriotism is in all of us. And I hope, if nothing else, that patriotism helps us to rebrand Zimbabwe. Conrad, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. The Zimbabwean Dream, which basically means, and I mean, just if I have to summarize it, it's basically say, let's be proud, because I think it starts with the pride of us as a people. Let's be proud of who we are. It's the Zimbabwean Dream, which is going to be built by you and me, whether we're in South Africa, in the UK, in US, whatever you go and write on the keyboard, whether are you contributing towards the Zimbabwean Dream or are you working against it. But it's okay to be different. It's okay to have different opinions, as long as we are proudly Zimbabwean. That's all that matters.
Right. Let's not give up on the Zimbabwean dream. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you.